What's going on, cowpokes? This is Henry Films back with another Red Dead Redemption video. In today's video, I'm just going to be throwing around some of the ideas that I have for a Red Dead Redemption sequel, inclusions I want to see, content I want to see, basically just a Red Dead Redemption 3 wish list. So this is a topic that has been beaten to death. So many people have made the same kind of video, so I'm really going to try my best to not be redundant, and also I'm going to try my best to not really do like comprehensive story pitches or anything like that. Like, don't expect me to talk about like Jack Marston fighting in World War I, Sadie's adventures after the story, the origins of the Vanderlin Gang leading up to the Blackwater Massacre. No, I'm not talking about any of that. Honestly, I think all those ideas are lame and limiting and uninspired. I hope that with Red Dead 3 or Red Dead whatever they call it, Rockstar starts out fresh. They can keep it in the same universe, of course. I just think the story of the Vanderlin Gang has been tied up so neatly with a bow, and stuff like the Blackwater Massacre I think is more interesting when it's left up to interpretation. That adds such a mystique to it, you know? So I guess we could count that as my first list for my Red Dead 3 wish list, is that don't continue the story of the Vanderlin Gang or any of its members. I don't care. I'm done with that. So I have this notes app on my phone that I've been keeping for weeks, where I just get an idea in my head and I jot it down. So it's going to be like really small, specific gameplay details and also like super huge, comprehensive story things. I'm going to do all of that and talk about all of that. So it might be a little all over the place, this video, but who cares? Whatever. Let's get into it. Okay, the first thing I want is for it to be set further back in time. 1860s, 1870s. I think the 1860s would especially be a lot of fun, because then of course Rockstar can include the American Civil War in the story and also in the open world. Like, how cool would it be for you to be out exploring and run into a fucking battle as a random encounter? I think that'd be sick. I immediately think about The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and all the fun ways that Sergio Leone and company were able to incorporate the Civil War into the plot of that film. A mission where you can disguise yourself as a soldier and sneak into battle, sabotage an offensive, sneak into a camp, break someone out of a POW prison. There's so much potential here. And also, speaking of wars, the American Indian Wars. More Native American content. I'm playing a Wild West game. I want to encounter Native Americans like all the fucking time. I want them everywhere. Their portrayal in the past few games have been so limited because of the fact that they're set in the twilight of the American West. That's why I want us to go further back. I want to encounter full-fledged Native American villages that I can shop and trade at. I want to encounter Native American raids, like random encounters that you'd have with the O'Driscolls or with the Lemoyne Raiders. I want hostile encounters. I want ones that are actively hunting you. Maybe I also just want to run into a group of Native Americans and see them hunting bison. I want to see some bros chilling under the stars around a fire, toking a chanupa. And at the same time, I want to be able to encounter Native Americans infighting, two different nations, two different tribes at war with each other, maybe witness some scalping. That would be sick. There's so much rich potential here. I'm just sitting here imagining all these potential random encounters, all these potential side missions. So on top of the Civil War, on top of more Native American content, another thing that going further back in time would grant us is more like Oregon Trail, westward expansion type shit, like these long caravans of people immigrating you could encounter. People from all sorts of different backgrounds, heading west, looking to strike it rich, maybe get some gold or something. You know, maybe they could get attacked by highwaymen or bandits or Native Americans or something. Like, notice how all these things I've talked about so far flow together so seamlessly into the open world, into narrative potential, just from the fact that we're setting it earlier. The Twilight of the West is a cool concept, but we've had 2 games to explore that. Let's do the golden age of the Wild West. Now let's get into, like, my ideas for the main character in the story, what they could do with this. So here's a few ideas that I'm going to throw out there. There's a few classic archetypes I want to discuss. The first one is like a rancher, a family man whose home is attacked in the night by bounty hunters or bandits or natives or something of that sort. Someone from his past or something. They kill his family and he's never the same after that. He becomes a nihilistic, grizzled, badass gunslinging outlaw. This is such a classic Western trope that's been immortalized in novels and in film for the past century. It's cool. It's a cool story. It's a bit played out. Might be a little derivative of Red Harlow, a little derivative of John Marston. Kinda. So it's not my favorite idea, but it's the first one to throw out there as like a benchmark. Next, we could do another gang again. A gang would be cool. I think we'd have to tone it back a bit, not go with something the scale of the Vanderlin Gang. 4, 5 people is more than enough. I like the idea of maybe following 2 brothers or a brother and sister. I think that'd be neat. Or, and this one might be my favorite, I think this one's interesting, we could follow a lawman. The journey of a lawman, whether it be from criminal to lawman that gets his redemption, or from a lawman who becomes disillusioned with the system and becomes either a criminal or a vigilante. Now, I think that's neat. When the law has failed, he's ready to implement frontier justice. I think that would be a really cool concept that's totally removed from what Red Dead's already tackled. You spend the first few chapters as a sheriff, or maybe even like as a deputy who has a sheriff, a paternal figure that he looks up to, who he grows disillusioned by. That authority, that paternal figure kind of starts to reveal themselves as corrupt. Maybe the mayor or the marshal or other influential figures, the elite of the town, reveal themselves to be corrupt and take part in all sorts of dark acts, until finally our protagonist sees something so horrifying that they have to step away, resign their badge, and that's when they finally take matters into their own hands. Maybe we could combine this with that family man rancher concept that I had earlier. Maybe he does have a family, and then once he steps away, the fucking marshal or sheriff or mayor or whatever authority figure he looked up to comes back and abuses their power to kill his family or something like that. Like, I'm just spitballing here. But things like that I think could maybe build into the second half of the game, where you're hunting down all these characters who wronged you. I think that'd be really fun. And you find yourself allying with the people who you were once complicit in these terrible acts being done to them. The working class who faced the police brutality, maybe the Native Americans who were being persecuted, stuff like that, I think would really play into the concept of Red Dead Redemption, right? That's what this game series has been tackling every time, and I think that works perfectly here narratively. Alright, let's step away from the broad stuff for a bit, back into little gameplay features that I want to see included. Bank robberies. I want to be able to rob banks. Just more sandbox elements to this game, please. We could already do so much in Red Dead Redemption 2 that it's like ruined any other open world game for me. I want even more now. I would be disappointed if there wasn't more. The fact that you can't rob a bank, but you can rob stores and you can rob trains in Red Dead Redemption 2 is fucking stupid. That has to be a feature that was originally intended that's been removed. Come on. Are you kidding me? I can't rob a goddamn bank in a Wild West town? Let me do that shit. Moving on. Bring back cheating in card games from Red Dead Redemption 1. The fact that that would lead to duels was cool. Just an awesome feature. I don't know why they got rid of it. Another feature they need to bring back is owning properties, owning businesses. I really want my own saloon that I can customize. They kind of played around with that concept in Red Dead Online, but I want full-on customization. I want to be able to pick from all sorts of venues what location I want, what pictures I want on the wall, what color I want the paint to be, everything. I want the game to move west. I want the map to move westward, southwestern, maybe a bit northwestern. I mean, Red Dead's map is compressed anyway. The geography isn't perfect. But yeah, moving east was a fun, novel concept for RDR2. It played into the themes of the game, but I really have no desire to go back to Saint Denis or Roanoke Ridge. I think they should keep the Heartlands, but I think they could cut it off at the Commissar River. I like the idea of certain locations being specific to certain games. Like, I didn't hate that we couldn't explore Mexico in Red Dead Redemption 2. I think it made sense, and it gives you a reason to go back to that game. Yeah, I just don't think they need to include all of Red Dead Redemption 2's map in the third game. I think they should move further west, and that way we could have this game's version of San Francisco or something like that, and that can function as our giant city industrialized settlement. Rose and Saint Denis and Van Horn and Annesburg. You know I love Van Horn. These places are all awesome, but I hate how much space and development is, I don't want to say wasted, because again, I do love these locations, but wasted on these locations when we could really focus on spots that capture that Wild West aura, inspired by real-life places like Bodie, or Dodge, or Tombstone, or Deadwood. Like, you can have a mining town like Annesburg, but it could be like Tombstone, where it's a mining town, but also like a fucking peak quintessential Wild West location. Like how I was saying, I like the idea of certain locations being specific to certain games. Red Dead Redemption 2 is about like Wild West outlaws facing civilization, the encroaching hand of Eastern civilization, industrialized civilization. So it makes sense to have those locations in that game, but I don't think we need them. Because, as I've already said numerous times, I just want them to go all out this time on the golden age of the Wild West. Now, the West isn't just deserts. I think of the Great Silence and, of course, the Hateful Eight. The Wild West, the American frontier, was also cold and snowy. You think of places like Wyoming and Colorado and Montana. I think of how much Rockstar fumbled the bag with Amberino. What the fuck? Why didn't we have a settlement in Amberino that was inhabited at least? I don't count Coulter. I want a little village, a snowy village in the mountains. That's so sick. And if you're not going to give me that, at least give me something like Minnie's Haberdashery from the Hateful Eight. Just something about the harshest possible weather, this fucking violent blizzard juxtaposed with a quaint, warm, snowy mountain town. Ugh, I love it so much. I wish it fucking snowed in Strawberry, because Strawberry captures that look I want perfectly. I wish in the northern part of Big Valley it was snowy. At least sometimes. Oh, sometimes. Hey, maybe we could do seasons. Maybe we could have weather cycling through the seasons. That might get kind of weird and complicated in something like online, but as you progress through the story, I see no reason why it can't cycle through seasons. That would be so much fun. If Rockstar and RDR2 could already have, like, construction and whatnot in the map evolve, they can have the fucking weather evolve. What's something else? Paranormal Towns. Ooh. The abandoned towns like Pleasance and Lymphony are really cool, but I want at least one that is outright haunted. That would be so spooky and so cool. Maybe you could see the apparitions of like a gunfight or a massacre that took place there in the past, and you can hear the screams of whatever went down. Super cool. Stuff built on Indian burial grounds. That's always fun. I know Red Dead Redemption 2 kind of toyed around with that with Valentine, but that was super in the background. And I know I said earlier that I don't want to follow the Vanderlin Gang in this game, but I think running into one of the characters, maybe in like the epilogue of this game when it's set like after the 1860s, and it's maybe the 70s or early 80s and your character's older, a bit more grizzled, or you're following his son or something, and that's when you run into a young Arthur and Dutch or Hosea, maybe you run into Lyle Morgan. I wouldn't hate that. In fact, I would love that. I just really would hate if we followed the Vanderlin Gang again, but I would love to see them. Like, I was talking about the idea for my character, my protagonist I had earlier, how he'd be a former lawman that grew disillusioned with the system and with society, maybe with the elite and with the white man. You could have a scene where he runs into a younger Dutch, and Dutch just fucking loves this guy. He's totally inspired by him. He respects you so much. And maybe in passing, you can be one of the people that kind of shapes Dutch's outlook on life that he'd grow into when he was still coming into his own as this, like, idealistic outlaw. Or you all think that sounds stupid. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just spitballing. I'm just throwing ideas out there. Another thing I see on my list is climbing trees. Can we please climb trees? I think about Assassin's Creed 3, how you could climb trees and hop from tree to tree. It would be so fun for hunting animals and people, too. It would be awesome to be able to maneuver through the trees. Maybe like how they've done in a few of the Grand Theft Auto games. I know this is such a popular mod that people have for Red Dead Redemption 2, and that's having gang members, having other characters that you can choose to have tag along with you in free roam or to go and do activities with, go do missions with. I would love that. I think that's so much fun. Yeah, I want to see that included. Ew, fucking ditch the goddamn drunk physics from Red Dead Redemption 2. This is something that Rockstar didn't used to have a problem with. Like, the drinking in Red Dead Redemption 1 is perfect. The ragdoll physics are hilarious and super realistic. But in Grand Theft Auto 5 and in Red Dead Redemption 2, the way they portray intoxication is so fucking stupid. It's so dumb, and it makes it way less fun. I just want to bumble around and stumble around and be all delirious. I don't want my fucking screen to turn all yellow and all prismatic like I'm having some sort of fucking psychedelic that's been laced with fentanyl. It's so strange. It's so over the top. It's like how in Grand Theft Auto 5, when you rip the bong, your vision turns green. What the fuck? Why? It's so weird. It's so dumb. It feels like a kid's idea of what drugs and what intoxicants do to you. The drunk dialogue options were a lot of fun, though. They're fucking hilarious in Red Dead Redemption 2. Keep those. Especially keep just greet and antagonize overall. I hope that's in GTA 6, and I hope it's in RDR3. It was a blast. It was perfect. That's like the main thing that makes other open world games, most other open world games, suck and feel so empty compared to me, is all the greet and antagonize dialogue options you have in Red Dead Redemption 2. All the options you have, all the options the NPCs have, and the way that you can do, like everybody memes about greet, antagonize, but the way they kind of seamlessly flow together, you can branch off what you're saying in one way or the other. I think that's super cool. It's so alive. It's really awesome. Some more outfit options. I want to see stuff like ponchos, of course, being able to have your vests open and unbuttoned. I hate that they're always buttoned together. Maybe some sort of outfit customization, like, because I can always remember getting annoyed playing RDR2 by the fact that all the vests have the same glossy black back, which totally throws off an outfit sometimes. So maybe higher tier shopkeepers that you buy clothes from, like the tailors in the game, perhaps you can commission colors and patterns. Like they have a set amount of patterns, a set amount of colors that you can kind of choose from to mix and match your outfits. That'd be really cool. Also, let me pick up any hat that an NPC drops. You'll see an NPC wearing the most beautiful, like classy, grounded, historically accurate cowboy hat. It's like muted brown and gray. It's got like the perfect amount of wear and tear. It looks glorious, and you'll never be able to put it on. I really don't get it, because they let you take some of the hats that fall off of NPCs, and they've already modeled all these hats, and you can knock off any hat off an NPC and put it on. So I really don't understand why you don't have the option to keep any hat that you find. It makes so much sense. Kinda like how I think it'd be fun to interact with some of the gang members. Not follow the gang members, of course, but interact with one of them in maybe a random encounter, side mission or something. I'd like to have the same for a lot of the gunslingers, the famous outlaws. Landon Ricketts, Black Bell, Emmett Granger, Otis Miller, fucking Flaco Hernandez, hell, maybe even Red Harlow. That'd all be cool. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about outfits is holster shit. I want to be able to customize where my holsters are. I know a lot of people find the offhand holster really ugly, but I still would like to be able to have two holsters, but maybe just be able to throw both of them on your hips, on your sides, maybe have them kind of reversed the way Micah does, maybe just have one holster, you know, maybe just have one holster that's on your left side. I'd like all these various options. That would be really cool. Alright, bounties. I want there to be infinitely like generated bounties. So I do think that there should be plenty of bounties with like a full narrative and cutscenes and dialogue options behind them. But you can't make those forever. So I feel like once you've completed all of those, then they should just continue on the option to do bounties, because hunting bounties is so fun and so immersive for a Wild West game. They should continue that just with like randomly generated names and locations and crimes and whatever, and bounty amounts. That's fine. It won't kill the immersion too much. I think online, I'm not a big online player, but I think that's what online does. Yeah. And speaking of like law shit, fix the wanted system. The AI for the lawman is just so frustrating in this game. It's not nearly as bad as Grand Theft Auto 5, where they just teleport to the scene, but they still pull up way too fast. It feels like it never changes depending on how far away from civilization that you are. And also the way the bandana works, just like, what the fuck is that about? Is it just me? Or does the bandana never work in RDR2? Like never. It never does. Robbing a store, robbing a train, I always get wanted Arthur Morgan, wanted John Marston, regardless. Even if I've like run away from the scene before the cops have arrived and I've left that little red area on the map, it'll still switch to wanted and say like wanted Arthur Morgan. Like, what the fuck is that about? Am I the only person who experiences this problem? Because it's ridiculous. I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong. I really hope Rockstar works on its mission design not being so rigid when it comes to the morality and the honor system. Like, there doesn't really seem to be much options for low honor other than like trivial fucking dialogue changes and story cutscenes. I'm talking about the side missions and the random encounters. They never give you any options on how a low honor series of events would unfold. Usually it just ends with the mission ending, like in the person like running away. That's lame. I want to see how they'd actually respond and react, and if the mission would continue in a different way if I performed a low honor action. But it always just seems to end with the NPC running away, and it gets especially frustrating when you're trying to do the right thing, like a random encounter where you accidentally shoot near one of the NPCs that you're trying to save, or like you like step on or drop one of those women that's getting kidnapped that you save, and then they just run away and the encounter ends. You don't get to take them home, you don't get to hear their story. Like, I just wish it was a bit more malleable and there was a lot more nuance in these situations, because it feels so constrictive and binary. I want more like immersive idle animations and emotes and stuff. Stuff like maybe being able to control how long you smoke a cigarette. If you hold down the button, you're smoking it longer. Like how they do it with beer or with Pearson Stew. I think they should apply that to smoking cigarettes and just all drinks in general. I also want the ability to like sit at a rocking chair or sit at a stool at a bar or something. Like, they already have the mechanics in places like camp for you to be able to sit down places, or at Beecher's Hope, yet they don't apply that to saloons or apply that to chairs and benches that you see in towns. I really don't understand it. One last thing that I think would be fun, I don't know if I'd use it that much, I'd have to be in a very specific mood, but it'd be like a hyper-realistic, ultra-immersive game mode where one shot, maybe two shots, you're down, you're dead, you're on the floor bleeding out. Also, like, reloading takes fucking forever. I think that would lend itself really well to differentiating itself from Grand Theft Auto. It would make the combat feel a lot more slow-paced and intricate and kind of scary, you know? But yeah, that's all I got for this video. Like I said at the start, this one's gonna be fucking all over the place, and it definitely was. I hope you thought some of these ideas were neat. Of course, if you have any more in the comments, drop them. I'm sure people who've watched this video who still want to read people's ideas will have a good time scrolling through the comments and look at what other people have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, cowpokes. Have an amazing day, and even better night's sleep, and I hope you all wake up tomorrow